Coming up on Tech News Today, more details on how election systems in the U.S. may have been manipulated by hackers. Also, Imagination Technologies puts itself up for sale after losing Apple's graphic chip business. Tesla might be getting into the music streaming business. Facebook has a new mission, and a look at Steam's new 5-finger VR controller, codenamed Knuckles. All that more coming up next on Tech News Today.
This is Twit. Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by CacheFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today, episode 1795, recorded Thursday, June 22nd, 2017. This episode of Tech News Today is brought to you by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Home plays a big role in your life. That's why Quicken Loans created Rocket Mortgage. It lets you apply simply and understand the entire mortgage process fully, so you can be confident that you're getting the right mortgage for you. Get started at rocketmortgage.com/TNT.
Hello and welcome to Tech News Today. This is the show where we try our best to tell you everything you need to know about technology. I am Megan Maroney.
I am Jason Howell. How you doing, Megan?
I missed you yesterday, and you were on jury duty, and I will try very hard not to try to ask you about the jury.
Don't ask.
No, you're not allowed to say. It could mess things up. I'm tempted, because I am convinced that if I really asked the right questions, I'd be able to...
Or if you caught me off guard.
Yeah.
No, I'm convinced that you will never be able to get me to talk about it until the moment that the verdict is reached. This is my first jury duty, like actually sitting on the jury and everything. So I'm actually pretty interested in the whole process. It's pretty fascinating to finally be on the other side and see how it works.
What about it makes it so interesting?
Well, there was that time that no, not going there.
I know we shouldn't joke. Someone's probably going to email us and say this is not a joking matter. So let's get to the tech news. Time magazine is reporting that hackers accessed and manipulated voter data at least once during the 2016 presidential campaign, including social security numbers. According to official sources, Time says some voter hacking was identified and rectified before the election, and there is no evidence that any of the data was accessed by Trump's campaign. The investigation will continue to probe this question, and they will seek testimony from Brad Parscali, digital director of the Trump campaign. You're not on this jury, are you? For the Russian
No
hacking?
comment.
Okay. Okay.
No comment. I think I could probably safely say I'm not, because I'm actually here talking about it,
That's
which
true.
I could not do if I was.
Good point. Good point. So yeah, I mean, even if they didn't change the outcome of the election, change any data, they created chaos, whoever it is. Time's not even saying whether it was Russia or not.
We had it in the title, right? That it was Russian hacking.
I don't think so.
Well, they had it in the URL. The URL is Russian hacking election widespread private data,
but not in the
actual headline.
So
Maybe they changed that after the fact.
They must have changed it because no one actually was able to. Their sources never said Russia. They never said Russia. So, but
yeah,
they
right.
created a lot of chaos, and that is bad. And they realize that they've been able to create this chaos and will do it again. And it's not good news for democracy. It's actually quite terrifying. Whatever side of the political spectrum you come down on, our elections are sacred, and I don't want anybody messing with them.
Yeah, maybe the system should be designed in a way where you can't mess with them. But I guess every system is fallible. Maybe that's too much to ask in this world filled with technology everywhere. But that's what I want. I want a system where whoever the hacker is doesn't actually have the ability to change anything. And mind you, this doesn't necessarily, like you said, it doesn't say that somebody got in there and effectively changed the outcome of the election with the hacking. But knowing that they're touching that information is enough. There's also, I heard a really interesting interview on NPR this morning on my way to jury duty that was all about how Russia specifically is using the Ukraine, which it's at war with right now, to test cyber war methodology. And in that case, according to Andy Greenberg, who wrote a book on the subject, Russian hackers in that case have changed the Central Election Commission website during an election in the Ukraine to basically show the wrong election results, to post the incorrect election results on the day that they were actually being, reviewed and all the votes counted and everything. So it showed the wrong candidate as the winner for a short period of time, which that didn't change the outcome of the election. Similar kind of deal here. It didn't actually change things necessarily, but it stirs uncertainty. It's like a lack of confidence in the systems that are actually happening behind the scenes. It just kind of weakens everything that surrounds it, whether it changes the actual vote or not. It weakens everybody's understanding of how impervious these systems are, how trustworthy these systems are.
They're not impervious.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Sorry.
How non-impervious they are.
How pervious.
They're so pervious.
Wow, these systems are so pervious. I don't even know if that's a word, but there we go.
I like it. I want it to be a word. I think that, so what even, he said it would be great to have a completely, impervious system. We do not have that. We have pervious. Even if we didn't have pervious, there is so much data about us, and there's so much manipulation happening, or the possibility of manipulation happening through search results or through Facebook. I mean, there are so many social engineering ways to get people, to convince people of things that they convince them to vote a certain way. We are in this. We are all, we're on social media. We're in, we use Google, and it's just, there's no turning back from it. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do in the future. It is very scary.
Yeah, and it certainly is being applied to other elections. Other campaigns are seeing this, not just in the U.S. So this is like I think we were talking about when all this happened, at least with our election towards the end of last year. This is just kind of, unfortunately, this is the new world. This is kind of the way it is, and now we have to figure out how we correctly defend against it and make sure that our own systems and our own system of governance and everything isn't brought down with it. That's a huge challenge. Imagination Technologies, once riding high on the wave of producing graphics chips for Apple's most popular devices, starting with the iPod, saw its shares drop 70% when Apple announced in April that it would be producing its own chips in less than 2 years. Apple made up half of Imagination's business, so when Apple signaled a move away from its chips, many wondered how the company would recover, and it looks like Imagination has put itself up to be sold as a result of all of this bad news. That announcement, ironically enough, sent stock prices up 21%. So, recovered some of their market cap, I suppose. But yeah, not looking too good for Imagination. It looks like they won out. I can imagine that there are a lot of companies that would see big benefit to Imagination's business. But when you're talking about, 50% of your business for however long, that's a really long time since the first iPod, made up from Apple's business alone. And then you think of a future where that 50% goes away. How do you easily maneuver around that? Maybe it's easier for a new company to come in, buy it, and integrate it into their own process. Yeah,
probably. I mean, this was a great European tech success story, everyone says. But they've been around since 1985. So I'm not sure what they did between 1985 and 2001 when the first iPod was. So maybe they could go back to that. I don't know. Maybe like making chips for Newtons or, I don't know, Palm
Commodore
Pilots.
64s. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that they really were, all their eggs were in Apple's basket, and now they're not anymore. And yeah, it's sad for them, but hopefully someone will buy them.
Right, out of the ashes. Analysts are saying Qualcomm, Intel, MediaTek, and a whole list of others could benefit from an acquisition. And then, of course, we've already talked about this, but once the transition happens, Imagination Technologies doesn't think that Apple can do this without stepping on its patents because it's been so reliant upon its technologies for so long. They have that to look forward to, I guess, in a couple of years when Apple finally releases it. They'll be looking with hawkish eyes, trying to find the things that are wrong and the things that overlap.
I don't think there's anything there because I feel like Apple would, I don't know, like their talks have not gone well. They said they've been in talks. So it seems to me that Apple is probably confident that their patents won't conflict with Imagination's, but yeah, you're right. We'll have to wait and see.
You'd hope a company the size and scope of Apple would go through all of the difficult steps to ensure that. Imagination hopes that they don't.
Apple and Spotify might have an unlikely competitor in the music streaming business. Recode reports that Tesla is in talks with music labels to create its own service. It's not so strange considering how often we stream music in our cars and how seamlessly Tesla has been able to create the dashboard entertainment system. Sources say Tesla might license a proprietary music service that comes bundled with its cars, which already come with Wi-Fi. This was a weird story to me. It was surprising because Tesla is already a little bit behind in production. As we've discussed, music streaming is not easy. It is very hard. The only reason I could suspect is that Tesla just seems to be at war with Apple constantly, trying to steal each other's employees and really prove that they're a better company than Apple. And so, you know, Apple Music is the leader now. I guess is it, did they have more subscriptions, paid subscriptions than Spotify?
No, I believe Spotify's still ahead. Yeah,
right.
Spotify's far ahead.
Yeah.
Apple's second. From what I understand, but it's more of a distant second.
Right. So it seems strange because, I mean, anyone who has a Tesla would probably not balk at the like $9.99 streaming service, and they would probably already have a cell phone that connects automatically to their Tesla. So it seems strange that you would have a, you know, built-in streaming service in your Tesla. I don't know.
Maybe Tesla ownership becomes like Amazon Prime, but for automobiles. It's like, yeah, you spent the money for your Tesla, and here's all the cool, you know, services that you get along with it. Check it out. Now you've got music streaming in your car. I mean, I think that that's actually a very powerful thing, right? Like, when you're driving, you want something to listen to. There's obvious benefit to having some sort of a music service. Maybe this is, you know, in a world of autonomous Tesla vehicles all over the place, like their drivers are going to want some low friction, easy, you know, already installed in their car music service. But I don't know, that it's a stretch. Like you said, it's really, music streaming services is not it's not an industry. It's not a business model that has seen a whole lot, you know, has made a whole lot of people very happy on the business side. There's low margins. It's just a difficult thing to maneuver. It's just kind of strange that that Tesla might go in that direction, or they might go in that direction for Tesla vehicles. I don't know. I don't understand it.
I don't either. I mean, the frictionless, that seems like something that, because Tesla does have such a great inboard entertainment.
Technology. Yeah,
like
right.
It's so great. So, I mean, you probably don't even necessarily, I mean, you would have, people aren't making phone calls so much anymore. They shouldn't be texting when they're driving. So yeah, I guess maybe not even having to worry about attaching your phone to the car makes a little bit of sense.
It's not that. There's not a whole lot of friction though nowadays.
No.
Like, it's pretty straightforward. And right now we live with it, you know, in a time where we feel like having the choice is better than one single company being forced into a particular direction. So I don't know. I don't know either way.
I don't know. And also, I think that the next Tesla is going to be only $35,000, which they've talked about is, you know, not a huge. I mean, it still seems like a lot of money to pay for a car for me, but it's less than what a Tesla costs now.
Right. Yeah. Virtual reality for cinematic purposes can be a challenge. What with its 360-degree field of view, that means the viewer must look at exactly the right place at the right time as action happens around them, looking behind you, which is kind of unnatural when you're sitting down. Google is launching a VR format called VR 180 that will result in a series of new cameras to be designed to capture 180 degrees of action of 3D stereoscopic video using two forward-facing wide-angle lens cameras. Lenovo, Yi, and LG are among those working alongside the Daydream team to design VR 180 certified cameras to launch sometime this winter. So we don't actually have any actual camera to record this to look at. They have a little bit of an outline kind of representation of it. The output video can also be flattened for easy viewing outside of the confines of VR goggles. You can flatten video, like 360-degree video right now, but it distorts it like crazy. And I think with this, you could just flatten it and choose for it to either be a really wide 2D image or a stereoscopic 3D image. I think this makes a lot of sense. I think there's, at least for cinematic purposes and for, you know, in a lot of ways, especially if you want uptake in, like, let's say YouTube creators, which is, you know, they're also working with YouTube, or YouTube's working with Daydream on this as well. You come out with a lower cost kind of camera that can create very easy 180-degree stereoscopic imagery, I think there'd be a lot of creativity around that. It would definitely, the lower cost would bring more people in.
And they're allowing creators to borrow them they can get them on loan. It also solves the problem of the back of the head. I mean, I think we would look amazing in VR, but except there's nothing going on back here, right? So it's just the 180 degrees is all we really need. We don't need what's going on back there.
Right. And it's weird when you're sitting down watching something and then you've got to look behind you and it's like, well, what do I do with my chair? You know, hopefully you're in a swivel chair and everything. But even then, it's just, I don't know, there's something to be said about sitting down and the experience is in front of you. You can still turn your head and see different parts of everything in front of you. Like, I live my life looking like this. And at the most, I move my head side to side, and that's what I experience unless I turn my body all the way around. It's not, when I do that, I'm off mic, and I apologize. But, you know, that mimics life, I think, a little bit more for something that's like a cinematic experience, a sit down and just watch an experience sort of thing instead of having to look behind me. That's weird.
Facebook wants to bring us closer together. All of us, you, me, all of us, whether we like it or not. The company has announced a new mission statement to give people the power to build community and bring the world closer together.
Now, perfect harmony. To buy the world some Facebook.
Are you finished?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
So, okay, now I'm finished.
This new mission statement is only slightly less vague than their last mission statement, which was making the world more open and connected. Do you have a song for that one too?
Nope. Making the what? No, I don't.
Making the world today takes that. Okay. And according to CEO Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook Groups is the tool that will build this community and bring us all together. There was a big community conference today. This is where this was announced. And now I think all of this sounds a little kooky, sounds a little inspirational video-ish. And, you know, the cynic would say that Facebook is just a giant advertising company sucking up all our data so that they can, you know, give it to advertisers. And that is true. But Mark Zuckerberg does not think that. And it's not like he's pretending to think he wants to make the world a better place. Like, he really believes that. You know, if you hear what he reads, he's given all his money away. Like, he really believes that. So I want to give him some credit. I mean, even though, you know, I do think that Facebook will be able to change the world by sucking up all our data. I think it's a worthy goal.
Yeah. I mean, yes, Zuckerberg absolutely believes that. He's got almost 2 billion users using the platform. So not only does he stand to gain from all of the advertisements that are shown to all of those people, but when you're talking about people in those numbers, I mean, these communities, you know, they've already created themselves throughout the network. There's a lot of organizing happening here. And, you know, so they're talking about these group tools. Group leaders can screen new members. They can block, schedule posts, link groups together. He focused on meaningful groups in an interview I saw on CNN. And by meaningful, that's kind of essentially where these groups inside Facebook extend outside of the Facebook ecosystem and into the real world. So, for example, a group like Clean Up Miami Beach, you know, that mobilized somewhere like 3,500 real world people to go out and do all of these things, or kind of, you know, replacing real world organizations that might exist and moving them into the Facebook world, because that's where everyone is in a digital sense, and they can kind of, you know, arrive, collaborate, do all the things that groups do, and then take that out into the real world.
Well, my point is that, you know, when you say like Mark Zuckerberg stands to gain a lot because it's bringing more people into Facebook, like, I don't think he cares. He's given all his money away. Like, he doesn't need any more money. He will never need any more money. His children will never need any more money. Like, I feel like for him, it's really not about money. It really is about bringing the world together.
But he cares about the Facebook bottom line, no?
I'm sure that he does.
I mean, he doesn't want Facebook to go away because...
Well, and that's not going to happen anytime soon. But I mean, I think that it's important to think about, like, not just to use him as an example, because a lot of these, you know, Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, and like, they're set forever. Like, they really can just fulfill their weirdo goals or their
whatever their
laudable,
passions are.
Yeah, their goals to bring the world together. So I think that, he's at the head, and I think he really believes it. And I think, Facebook, we talk constantly about Uber and what a toxic culture it is. Like, all signs point to Facebook being the exact opposite of that. Like, everybody who works there loves it. They and they really feel like he is a positive leader. And I think I don't know. I mean, I think it's worth thinking about the fact that he means it. He really does want to bring the world together.
Well, I'm sure, and that's probably a big driving force of his whole boots on the ground thing that he's been doing. He feels kind of a higher level need to actually communicate with the masses of people that have been using his product to understand and everything. And there've been all these questions about whether he's running for office and in all of these new efforts that he's had. I think what we see here supports the idea that he's not, which he keeps saying he's not. So we should take his word for it until he gives us reason to think otherwise. But what I find interesting about this is it's really further tying Facebook into kind of the fabric of how society operates outside of Facebook, in the way that it integrates what's going on in the digital walls of Facebook with real world organizations. It's almost like Facebook, as a result, becomes a civic outreach tool or a connection tool. And I don't know what that leads to necessarily, but I mean, as Facebook gets bigger and bigger, I understand why it's poised to do that. It just means more and more reliance on Facebook for things, and that's either a good or bad thing, depending on who you ask.
Yeah.
What do you say, Burke?
Has something to say.
Burke says he should bring/build some affordable housing to the SF Bay Area. Was it Facebook that's doing that?
Amazon.
Was it Amazon?
Is letting they have some land that they're going to eventually put an Amazon building in, but they're letting people sleep in it now. Like, they're turning it into a low cost. Mark Zuckerberg has given away a lot of money, and he's tried to do things like that. He's tried and learned. Like, he tried to give a ton of money to the New York school system because he wanted, he looked into where's the best place for my money, and he looked into it, and then he completely messed it up with Cory Booker. Like, they just didn't understand the way the school system worked. It was tons of bureaucracy. Like, he just threw his money at this place, and he didn't understand what was going on, and it fell apart. And so that's why he's on the West Coast, and he's working on education. And yeah, I mean, I don't know, like, giving money, it's not that easy. I mean, where you give your money to and what it would have the most effect where you give it. I think that he thinks a lot more about that than we do. And so I'm not like a Mark Zuckerberg cheerleader, because I do think that there are a lot of problems with Facebook, but I don't think that he really concerns himself that much with that stuff. I think he really is on a mission to change the world. Yeah, for sure. I found an article, it's Alphabet planning 330 units of housing near its headquarters. Maybe Amazon is also doing that, but that was what I found. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's easy to just build affordable housing in San Francisco. Like, I think there's a lot to it, Burke.
We needed to build layers of San Francisco and then housing on all those layers. The potential is infinite. Quick reminder, that should be easy, right? Quick reminder that you can comment on anything that we discuss by emailing tnt@twit.tv. You can also subscribe to Tech News Today by going to our show page. That's twit.tv/TNT. Coming up next, an evolved take on VR hand controllers. We'll talk with Sam Miskovich. But first, let's take a minute to thank Rocket Mortgage. They're the sponsor of this episode. The mortgage experience wasn't keeping up with the times. It was dated. It needed a client-focused technological revolution. We do everything online, so why not get our mortgages online? That's why Quicken Loans created Rocket Mortgage. Rocket Mortgage gives you the confidence that you need when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan, because it can be complicated, and sometimes you don't feel so confident through the process. Rocket Mortgage is going to help you through that. It's simple, allows you to fully understand all the details, be confident you're getting into the right mortgage solution for your scenario. It's convenient. Their trusted partners allow you to share your financial information with Rocket Mortgage at the touch of a button, so that makes it fast. It's also powerful, whether you're looking to buy your first home or maybe even your 10th. Rocket Mortgage is able to perform thousands of calculations in seconds. Based on your income, assets, and credit, Rocket Mortgage can analyze all of the home loan options for which you qualify. So it's making sure it's all tailored to you so you can find the one that's just right for your scenario. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Apply simply, understand fully, mortgage confidently. To get started, all you have to do is go to rocketmortgage.com/TNT. That's rocketmortgage.com/TNT. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states. NMLS, consumeraccess.org, number 3030. And we thank Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans for their support of Tech News Today. Yet another throwback gaming mascot is getting the HD treatment, and joining us to see if it's worthy of your time is Sam Miskovich from Ars Technica. How's it going, Sam?
Good afternoon. It's going very well. And yeah, Crash Bandicoot is coming back really soon. And it wasn't necessarily the highlight of my E3 trip in Los Angeles last week. I was actually about to skip the meeting about it because, yeah, it's a better looking Crash Bandicoot. But I went, and not only does the team tell me they have a new playable character, but more interestingly to me, they talked about how they had to rebuild the game entirely from scratch.
So yeah, so what is the process there? I mean, in situations like this, normally, how does it differ from the what they went through in order to bring this remaster?
Well, it's interesting because in talking about it, people aren't sure whether to call it a remaster or a remake or what the heck you call it, because it's taking the exact original designs of the first 3 Crash Bandicoot games, which came out on PlayStation 1 back in the mid to late 90s, and has a lot of the stuff has been rebuilt. None of the code transferred from the original, because the original Naughty Dog games, those are the guys who've gone on to make a series like Uncharted, they really tweaked the original PlayStation to do things it wasn't supposed to do. It's a lot of really wonky stuff that involves hiding triangles, that sort of specific polygonal 90s coding stuff, using assembly language to get it all working. So that stuff didn't really transfer in the very few hard drives that were transferred. In fact, a lot of the original hard drive data didn't come through either because Naughty Dog did not hand it over to the current corporate handlers at Activision, or it just didn't transfer and work. So these guys went and got what are known as meshes. So essentially all of the architecture of the old 3D worlds is back in drawn over, and they had to redo all the animations, all of the textures, all of the art, all of the timings. So like exactly how Crash jumps and how that jump is different in each of the 3 first games. Stuff like how he rolls through crates, it all had to be kind of eyeballed and redone. It's sort of incredible. They actually went to online fan forums like GameFAQs, FAQs, to just kind of cheat and see what fans analyzed and saw. And there was another part where one of the guys at Vicarious Visions, that's the team that's working on this remake/remaster, admitted that he went to a panel discussion that was hosted by a former Naughty Dog programmer and just remembered that explanation of how they got it to work in order to get all these sort of timings right. So a lot more work went into it than I actually assumed.
And I guess the big question is whether it justifies all of that time. I mean, some games you understand immediately, like, oh man, that was a fantastic game. I had Crash Bandicoot, but I can't say it was at the top of my list. I know people loved it, but I don't know. Was it worthy of all that time?
Well, Crash Bandicoot was an interesting chunk of that 3D platforming era, and at the time, Super Mario 64 was the big dog.
Yes.
Everyone was amazed at exactly how it translated to 3D and how it was fully 3D. Crash Bandicoot didn't have that analog stick. That was a big deal at the time, and so the programmers sort of worked within that framework of what a PlayStation could do, both its polygon power and its controller. And I think over time, I've come to appreciate it more for having this very specific segue from the 2D platforming of old to 3D platforming. I don't think it's the same as Super Mario 64, but I do think it stands the test of time. It was very cleverly animated. A lot of love went into it. And yeah, when you look at it and go, yeah, the guys who made Uncharted did this, that makes sense from both a polish level and a programming level. I think it's worth trying out again, and it's going to be $40 for 3 big games, which I've seen worse values, especially from a company like Activision. So good on them for making this work.
Now, what do you think about this whole retro gaming with consoles and games? Like, it just seems to, are we seeing more retro games than we're seeing new games? And how do you feel about that?
Well, there have been a lot of remasters, remakes. I know Sega just came out with a whole free with ads app system that lets you play old games. And I think there's a difference between the companies who are just trying to cash in and the companies who are doing it right. I think game archival and game preservation are these things that don't always get done. Sometimes a hard drive gets thrown out and that's it. Final Fantasy VII is one of the more famous examples of a game where every time they rebuild it, they have to redo it from scratch because a lot of the original assets were made for systems that were older and not archived right. I just want this to be a reminder. If you do anything in the world of software, be that a boring accounting app or a beautiful, weird indie game, put a hard drive in deep freeze with some sort of tool that we can use in the future to bring it back, because you have no idea how valuable that might be. I think old data preservation is huge. We love that at Ars Technica.
Absolutely. All right. So you also wrote about your first glimpse, well, I guess everybody's first glimpse, gameplay footage of Beyond Good and Evil 2. I had not heard of this game before the article. Tell us about it.
Beyond Good and Evil 2 was revealed at E3 in the form of a flashy, pre-rendered cinema scene, which every gamer hates because you don't know if there's a real video game attached. It could just be, the term is bullshot, where things are conjured and built up that may never really pan out. Dead Island is perhaps the most famous of a game that had a trailer that looked nothing like its actual game. So Beyond Good and Evil 2, a sequel to an early 2000s 3D platformer that starred a young, ambitious woman who was a photojournalist / adventurer, kind of Zelda-y, really cool. Well, this one, that woman is kind of in it. It's her mother who's in it. It's a prequel. We don't really know what's to come. And what we finally saw today was gameplay, what appears to be gameplay of a prototype that's been built up. And the creator, Michael Ansel, I'm going to get it, that his name is really wrong, or it's French, so I never pronounced that correctly. He was part of the first game. He's been involved at Ubisoft, the original series creators, for some time. And he's worked on a prototype that looks like a very different game. I'm calling it No Monkey's Sky because it looks like No Man's Sky, and it's got the really weird hover jetpack monkey from the trailer that just debuted.
Do you think it's going to be as much of a disappointment as No Man's Sky was?
Well, No Man's Sky was interesting because there were lots of teases and video sneaks and things that weren't really telling as to what the game would be like, a lot of promises. And this prototype that was shown off also is full of promises. For example, this entire planet that we are flying over in this prototype, yes, it's going to be populated. Everything's going to be interesting. There's going to be monks living in mountains and things were described. And that's just empty promises until we see them. But I do think that this could be the beginning of an extended developer diary where the creator, the developers will come out with YouTube clips and say, hey guys, here's what we're working on. We're very ambitious, but we're going to let you in on it. It's free publicity. We're just going to keep on pumping these videos out that might or might not reflect what's really happening. But it looks like there's a lot of like planet flying around. They want to create an interconnected world. It doesn't seem very similar to the original game, other than wide-eyed wonder. I feel like that's what the first game really got. It was underappreciated for having this sort of Zelda-inspired exploration, but in a different direction. So if they're doing that again, but with spaceships and monkeys and jetpacks, I'm on board, but I want to see more. I'm glad that we get to see something playable as opposed to bullshot. So we'll see what's to come soon.
I'll never tire of hearing you say bullshot. Your colleague Kyle Orland wrote about Steam's new VR controller prototype, codenamed Knuckles. What's so different about this hand controller?
The Knuckles have been teased. Hold on, I'm doing this awesome action for the video viewers. The Knuckles have been teased for some time because they offer a different way to put a handheld controller into VR. These were demonstrated at an event called Steam Dev Days last year, and the Valve folks who were working on it didn't hide it. They let people take photos. It looked really janky. And now a more formal looking near final version appears to be out. And what that lets you do is slip the controller onto your knuckles, essentially, and sort of pull down on a strap to tighten it so that it stays firm in your hand as you open your hand up and close it. So you can open your hand up and wave and point and gesture, and you can close your hand and have your fingers on a trigger and a thumb pad. It's essentially pretty similar to the wand on the HTC Vive, with a little hint of the Oculus Touch, which lets you open your hands up a little more, but you can 100% open them up. Because of the fact that it's tightened on your wrist and knuckles, open and close your hands. There are some GIFs airing on the video. Sorry for those of you who say GIF. There are some GIFs currently airing on the video feed right now that show this happening. And I think it's super cool.
So you can wave, you can give gestures, you can do the hook 'em horns sign for you and I who grew up in Texas. What else? I mean, is there like you could hold wine and lift up your pinky? What else can you do with all those fingers in VR?
I think what you end up, having fingers open means, especially in chat kind of interfaces, whether you're doing an MMO and you're doing a quest, or whether you're just kind of in a chat room in VR, you can use fingers to sort of, at the very least, wave and gesture, but also multiple fingers could be recognized with the sensors on this thing to essentially enable very quick menu things. Hold up 3 fingers and maybe something would happen. And that's the thing about VR, is that as you let your hands just wander around in virtual space, you sort of open up the possibilities. Adding fingers to that mix really opens them up even further. That doesn't mean this is going to make entirely new games, but I do like the idea of being able to just open your hands. It can be tiring when you're in the VR space, already standing up, moving around, anything to sort of let your mind wander and feel like you're really somewhere else. Wireless VR headsets may be coming before long, and that'll help. And being able to open up your hands. VR is funky. It demands a lot. It's expensive and it's bulky and there's cables. There's all this crap that gets in the way of some of the wide-eyed wonder, like Google Earth VR. I'm standing in the Colosseum of Rome. It's like those moments, I want them to be just incredibly cool with as little obstruction as possible. And something like this little freehand controller could be one more step towards that.
I mean, when I used the Oculus Touch at Oculus Connect, I thought it was really cool being able to extend my finger and hit a button on an interface. And my thought then was, well, it'd be nice when we have full hand tracking. But now as you ask that question, I'm like, yeah, but what would I use all those extra fingers? It makes sense for me to point at something or to push a button, but I never push a button with my pinky. But I'm sure they will figure out. That's up to the game developers to figure out.
The pinky will be how you get the rocket launcher, clearly.
Oh, okay.
No.
See?
I still think it's to look sophisticated when you're drinking VR wine.
When you're drinking your virtual
VR wine. Yeah, that'll be a great sim. Wait, well, let's all take a sip of our VR wine.
Finally, it's the annual Steam summer sale, apparently. I didn't miss it. Tell us what to look for.
The Steam summer sale. There's so many places where you can buy computer games on the internet now. It used to be Steam was the only one. Many others have come, GOG, Humble. But Steam is still the granddaddy. Thousands of games are currently marked down in the annual summer sale. They have 2 of these big ones a year, summer and winter. The summer sale has a little funky sticker promotion where you can collect stickers by playing around in the store. But yeah, tons of stuff on sale. My favorite of all of the things is the Jackbox Party Pack. There have been 3 of these. And this third one just came out at like $25. It's marked down 60%. All 3 of them are marked down. If you get them as a bundle, it should cost you even less. And I think those are really cool to play with a group. You just grab your phone. You and your friends each have a phone in your hand and just gang around the TV and pick stuff, or pick like you draw things or answer questions or write in questions. It's very creative. There's lots of quest games. Oh, goodness. Dead Cells is a really cool indie game that I am a big fan of. That's been marked down for its first time ever. Hollow Knight is another one of these indie quest games that starts off looking like a Metroidvania, and it is, but it has a lot of weird twists as you go along in it. Oh, goodness. There's just it's thousands of games. We just had an article go live at Ars Technica minutes ago with tons of suggestions, and the comments section is already getting flooded with people telling me, why didn't you recommend this or that? But I could list them all off. Just come over and I'll talk to you about all the games you should buy with all the money. The sale does last for 2 weeks, so you can take your time, pull up your list. There's no quote unquote flash sale, so they don't expire. You have 2 weeks from right now, if you are a computer player, to pick through some games.
What about Mafia 3? Are you a fan? That 2K Games is where that's in Petaluma. I got to put on one of their suits.
It's on sale. Mafia 3 is marked down.
Not a good game.
Quite a bit.
We'll confirm.
It's been priced to move.
I've never played it.
As Dishonored 2 and Prey from Bethesda are also marked down a lot, and people are suspecting it's because they're not selling very well. Because let's not forget, they didn't send advanced copies to press like me, so the buzz hasn't necessarily been built. Maybe now they'll sell some more. And I will say Dishonored 2 is okay, and Prey is great. So if you were holding off because you had no idea whether they were good or not, definitely jump on Prey if you can.
Okay, I have another question. The article that was up earlier about the Steam summer sale referenced a stack of shame, a game stack of shame. So like you go to Steam, you buy. I don't know why you'd have a stack because Steam is virtual games, right? So it would be a virtual stack. But do you have that? Like I have that with books, like a bunch of books that I bought that I am ashamed I haven't read yet. Do you have that with games?
Yes. I think not only Steam, but a lot of other sites bundle games together. Humble is the worst about this, worst being that they give a lot of games out for a low price, whether they have Humble bundles, pay what you want, and get like 6, 7, 8 games. So the number of games in my inventory is, I have a bunch that are grayed out or I've only played for 12 minutes. That's absolutely the case with digital games. There are way too many. And that is part of why we made a list that just went live of like, here's what's worth saving some money on. And it's totally worth. Some of them are like 50 cents or $1. There's a game called Gurgamoth that's 50 cents right now. I know the guys who made it. They're super nice. It's a little 4-player game. It is totally worth 50 cents. Are you going to play it that much? Maybe not. Might it enter your stack of shame? Sure. But it's that happens. You can find games for 50 cents, $2, $3. Why not?
Why not? Throw it there and then never play it and then look at it and feel guilty.
Don't feel guilty about games.
No guilt. So many video games. It's a good life.
That's true. That's true. Sam Miskovich, Ars Technica. Always enjoy getting you on. Thank you so much for joining us today. Appreciate it.
Indeed. You guys have a good rest of your day.
All right. You too. Take care, Sam.
We got some feedback.
Oh.
Becky writes in about our discussion yesterday that you missed regarding politeness to our home assistants so as not to trigger your devices. I shall be polite to you. We will refer to Amazon's assistant as Miss A. That was Becky's idea. I liked it. She says, this morning, the conversation about how we treat our assistants sparked some fun conversation with my sons because they each have an Echo Dot in their room. Michael, 13, said, even if Miss A isn't real, you should still treat your objects with respect. If I bump my leg on a chair, I shouldn't yell at the chair, but when I say please talking to Miss A, she doesn't usually understand me. I have to use short sentences. It's true. Sometimes when you add please and thank you, it messes her all up. Matt, age 7, said, Mom, remember when I told Miss A she was dumb? You made me apologize to her, but she wasn't real. Do they really save everything I say and use it for evil?
Oh my goodness. Begins.
And she says, well, she says to her children, well, it's a slippery slope. If you are disrespectful to things you own, you may start being disrespectful to others. You told Miss A she was dumb because your brother wanted to turn with her. I then proceeded to explain big data, and I think they finally understand I'm in digital marketing and that I don't watch YouTube all day. Thank you so much, Becky. So I did suggest to Rafe Needleman yesterday that maybe they were going to use all of the things that we were saying, whether we were polite or not polite, they were going to use it for evil. And thank you, Becky, for reminding me that there are young ears listening. And thank you for explaining, that was probably a teachable moment.
It sounds like a teachable moment about big data and how we talk to our future robot overlords. We could learn a little something from Becky's children.
Yes, and hopefully Rafe will be back because he's doing a whole series on tech etiquette. So he will be back to discuss this in the future because we need some advice on tech etiquette things.
Awesome. I'm bummed that I missed Rafe on yesterday's show, so I'm happy he'll be back. He's awesome. TNT's fan of the day is Susie Oldacker on Facebook, who sent us this picture saying Tina, the Dachshund. Dachshund?
Dachshund.
Dachshund? I want to say Dachshund. That's fun. That's more fun.
Dachshund is how I...
Dachshund?
The permeable dachshund.
I'm only now, as we read this and talk about this, realizing that I thought they were two different things. But they're not. Dachshund? Really?
Dachshund.
Okay. Watches TNT on Mom's new iPad Pro. Adorable dog. Makes me want to get a dog that I can have my very own Dachshund.
You should get a dachshund and call it Dachshund.
Yeah, that'll be its name. Dachshund. Show us how you watch or listen to TNT. Just record a video or take a picture of yourself or your setup. Post it on Instagram, Google+, Twitter, or Facebook. Use the hashtag HowIWatchTNT, and we'll find it.
If you, like me, have been finding discarded fidget spinners all around your house, then you should do something about it. Fidget spinners need to be spun, so says Nikodem Bartnik, creator of the robot fidget spinner that will spin your fidget spinners for you. Let's take a look. I think we should take a listen to because he is awesome.
Watch me as I spin it. If you want to smoke.
Suddenly I get bored of it and I didn't want to spin anymore. But spinner has to be spinned. So I came up with an idea for infinity fidget spinning robot.
I like it. Although it doesn't spin it very fast.
And this is the quick story of how I made it.
Okay, we don't need to watch all this.
It's so good. You need to watch it. You need to watch it at home. It is so good. Also, Spoo Writer on Twitter said if you have extra fidget spinners, you could find a local special education teacher to donate the spinners to. For some, not all of his or her students. Sorry, Spoo Writer. I don't know if you are his or who. His or her.
Definitely a who.
Or she says they were a godsend. I don't know. Spoo Writer might actually be a Twitter bot. Who knows? But
could be a robot fidget spinner.
Yeah. But please watch the video all the way through. We will put a link because it is so good.
Yeah, it's good. I can't believe that fidget spinners have made it not once, not twice, but 3 times into our last segment.
I know.
Let's just make it the fidget spinner segment going forward.
But this is really like if fidget spinners are really done, then you got to find something to do with them.
Yeah, what are you going to do with all that?
Exactly.
You're just going to fidget and not have a spinner or not care about the spinner anymore. Care about the spinners.
The fidget spinners have to be spun.
It's true.
The fidget spinner must be spun.
Or is it spinned? I don't know. TNT records live every Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Don't go back to Doc Schund. Thank you. Okay, play that again. Huh?
Dachshund.
Nuh-uh. It's Dachshund.
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 I'm gonna record my own YouTube video and put it up there and have it go Dachshund. TNT records live every Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, 2300 UTC at twit.tv/live. Be part of the show by emailing us however you happen to pronounce that word, TNT at twit.tv. You can leave an audio attachment. We'd love it. Leave us a short voicemail with how you pronounce that word, 260-TNT-SHOW, and find us on Twitter at TechNewsTodayTV.
And hang out with us on the subreddit, technewstoday.reddit.com. That is where we find many of the stories from the show, and we like to read your comments too, so hang out there. And subscribe to our show at twit.tv/TNT, or if you already have a place where your podcasts come to you immediately, subscribe there. And if you want to tweet at me on how you pronounce dachshund, I am at Megan Maroney.
And I'm at Jason Howell. Thanks to our technical director, Brian. It's good to have you back, sir. Were you here yesterday?
Dachshund.
Stop it. I know. All right. I know. I feel awful.
Brian was not only here, but he commented on some of the stories when I wanted him to comment and when I didn't.
Excellent. The way it needs to be.
You couldn't shut me up.
Thanks to Burke for having some Burke chats today, including the one that he just put up, which was from earlier, where Burke says that he despises cutscenes with a bunch of with a B and a bunch of O's. Boo. Apparently Burke doesn't like cutscenes. Now you know. Kevin, thank you, Kevin. I'm talking to you because you edit the show and you are wonderful, so thank you. And thanks to you for talking tech with us. All of you watching and listening, we'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye, everybody.